Hi. So the other day, I came across some people playing Sons of the Forest, and I was watching it, and I was like, hey, this looks like a cool game. I think I'd like this. So I went to Steam to check it out to see how much it costs, and something that's always been in the back of my mind was pretty prevalent to me at the time. I'm a gaming black hole. Games come to me to die. My backlog goes back to the Atari. There's games from every generation of console that I haven't finished, and probably never will. Right here is my collection of Nintendo Switch games. It's not much, it's my physical collection. I do own some digital ones. Some digital ones that I have not finished yet either. Maybe like one or two, but not many. And out of these physical games right here, do you know how many I have finished? Out of all of these games, I have finished one. I have finished this one. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, 1 out of 6 isn't bad. You'll get around to it. Well, when? you know, this is just a small example. 1 out of 6 games, okay? Let's go look at my digital collection on Xbox. Because I'm willing to bet when you take that 1 out of 6 and you increase it by a large number, it's not 1 out of 6 anymore. I'm thinking it's becoming 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20. Maybe even 1 out of 50, and who knows, maybe 1 out of 100. Now right here, we have my full digital library on Xbox. Do you see that number right there? That says 974. Sure, some of these are demos probably, and some of these are betas and alphas, and we'll talk about Game Pass here in just a second. But you can see that somehow all these games come together to equal almost 1,000. And that's just one console, keep in mind. I have many, because once again, I am a gaming black hole and I bring in all the games so they can just form a mass of nothing inside of me. I have a real problem with finishing games. I just don't do it. I get more joy, I think, out of acquiring the games than actually playing them. It's almost like games are in purgatory here with me, only I seek them out. So I'm like the gaming Grim Reaper. I don't have an answer for why I don't finish games. I get a game, and sometimes you can assess a game and be like, oh, I get it. I've seen the first half an hour to an hour, and I get everything this game's about. And then sometimes you almost feel like there's no need to keep going. Like you sampled it, and you're like, I get it. And then everything's just the loop is gonna repeat. And sometimes that sucks feeling that way. Other times there's games that I do genuinely like. I just, for some reason, don't play them, and I don't know why. Every time I go to the store, I look at games. I go to the electronics section, because that's my favorite part of the store, and I walk down the aisle of games, and I look, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, I could get that. Hey, I haven't played that. I could get that. But then I think to myself, hey, at home, I got a whole bunch of games I haven't even played yet. It's not like I have an addiction to purchasing games, though, because I don't buy games all the time. In fact, I rarely get games. I would probably have more if I didn't have control over it. So to call it just an addiction to purchasing doesn't seem quite right. I don't know what to call this. And I think that's why I'm making a video about it, because I just want to talk about it. Because I'm not really sure what it is that makes me see the game and be like, oh, that looks cool, I'll get it. But then just as soon as I start playing it, all the enthusiasm goes away. And it's not necessarily because the game might be bad, it's because of something different. I've run down the list of things. It could be maybe I'm depressed, maybe I do have an addiction to purchasing games. But just games? I like to collect games maybe, but my physical game collections aren't that big. Maybe I like to collect digital games. But I want to start to play these games. I'm kind of tired of being like this. And I feel like I'm probably not the only one. In fact, I can almost probably guarantee I'm not the only one that goes through something like this. I think for me, one of the biggest key factors is the abundance of games available. You got PlayStation Plus now with them offering a whole bunch of games. You got Game Pass. You even have Nintendo Switch offering a whole bunch of the old classics. And sometimes I just get overwhelmed and I'll sit down and I'll be like, hey, I'm going to play a game. And then I see this gigantic variety in front of me. And it's a little overwhelming, and sometimes I just don't play anything at all. For some reason, I'm the kind of person, if there's too many options, I pick none. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from. I keep choosing to play nothing, but I keep eventually acquiring new ones. You know, it's kind of like when you're playing Call of Duty and all of a sudden you turn the corner and there's like 4 enemies there and you're like, which one do I shoot at? And then you freeze up and you don't shoot at any, and then they just destroy you. Another factor, I think, is, now this is the part of the video where people are going to be like, oh, this is stupid, fanboy, fanboy. My high bar for games were Dark Souls, Bloodborne. I love those games. Even if you personally don't like them, that's okay. I do. And to me, that was gaming at its best. I fell in love with those games. And to this day, right now, I could probably go back to Elden Ring, start playing it, and get sucked right back in. But that's like the one game. You know, Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3 probably would do the same thing. Sekiro, Bloodborne. Those games, there's something about them that keep me coming back. But it's like, over this past year, I noticed it's gotten worse. And I think a lot of that has to do with Elden Ring. For me, has set the bar so high that while other games are enjoyable and fun, they're just not Elden Ring. I want everything to be Elden Ring, and it's not. And I got to get past that. You know, I mentioned before in a video a while back that I think Elden Ring kind of ruined gaming for me. Where do I go from here? Where do I go from here? It's like food. When you experience a really good burger and then you go somewhere else and it's not so good, you're like, ah, it's good, but it's not this other thing I had. It's not as good. That's how I feel now since playing Elden Ring. No matter what I play now, will never match this. It will never top this. So what's the point in buying another game when I can just play this and experience the best thing? And I think that still holds true. And I made that months ago, but I kept buying games. And I kept not playing them. But a year later, here we are, and I'm still struggling to find a game that grips me the way Elden Ring does. Right on the cheek, real hard. Sometimes it just feels like Elden Ring set that bar, and sometimes it feels like other companies are struggling to pick their own bars back up, and they settle for less. And it's not always the developer's fault. Elden Ring was just a breath of fresh air in a market saturated with things that seemingly didn't hold my attention very well. Now, if you're still here after that little Elden Ring fanboy moment, it is very discouraging and kind of sad to me to know that I will never ever play every game I wish I could have. Or every game that I think looks good, I'm probably never going to play it or finish it. I could, but even if I start it now, games take so long to finish, I'm just probably never going to get around to all of them. There's too much of a variety to pick from for me. And don't even get me started on TV shows. I might as well not even start. It's a little depressing to know that there's a lot of things I'm going to miss out on simply because I just shut down and don't have the mental energy to dive into them. I think I need a change, though. I need there to be a change. I don't want to keep having my experience with games be this way. It's not very fun. And I think we have to remember that those games will be there when we're ready for them. Now, I know being online can make it hard to avoid spoilers, but I think that's a risk I'm willing to take, to just not play something, to not acquire it, because what's the difference? If I go out and get the game and never play it, the game can still be spoiled for me, even if it sits on my shelf for 5 years. Just because I own it doesn't mean the spoilers go away. Now, one last thing, and I think this is one of the key factors in this for me, is sometimes I like a game so much that I don't want it to end. Now, like Elden Ring, I know I can start that game over and over and over, and it's a loop that never ends. It feels like it doesn't end, but some games, I enjoy them so much. I'm like, man, when I finish this game, it's over, and that's it. So sometimes I feel like if I leave it linger, it's almost like it makes the game last forever. The only problem is, I'm not playing it. I'm not in that world when I'm not playing it. I might as well at least be in that world and finish a game to have the memories of everything I did in there, other than hanging on to the idea that it's still happening, because nothing's happening if I'm not there. But I think to end the video, I will end it with positivity, and I'm going to do my best to change this, to play the games I get, To not worry so much about feeling like, oh no, it's all over, it's done with. That's better than leaving it hang, you know? Not like that. It's better than just leaving it in purgatory. I think it's time to start finishing these games. It won't be easy to see new games come out and to tell myself, hey, you don't need this yet. You have games to play. Because even if I go buy the new game, it's just going to sit on my shelf or in my digital library anyway. And what am I going to do? Play it for 20 minutes just so I can never play it again for another 5 years? What's the difference? Whether I own it or I don't, I'm still not playing it. And I think it's time to play the games I do have and appreciate them and enjoy them. But on that note, I think I'll end the video there. And if you happen to watch this video, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. And maybe I'll see you around on the internet again someday.